Hello, welcome back. If you haven't already gathered, this is B, the second page in my illustrated alphabet, and it's B for background. I have started straight into it, no point guessing about too much, and also because there's so much on this page that really didn't have time for an introduction in order to squeeze everything into the one video. Started off with the gesso page, traced around my B, which I have had for so long, I don't know how, when or why I even got it, but it was in my stash, and as soon as I decided that's what I wanted, it was just perfect, so I had to go dig for it, I must confess. I wanted to, on this page, I wanted to essentially do a page that illustrates a whole lot of different types of background styles and background techniques, and the page itself might look unfinished to some people, but it still achieved what I wanted it to do, and that is show the different background styles. So I'm really pleased with the way it came out. I love the colours, I love the different textures, love the different styles and techniques and the products that I used, and I really like the finished product. And you know, as this is going to be essentially a technique handbook for me to refer back to, then you know that's exactly what I wanted. Anyway, back to the page. So I started off with adding some chipboard die cuts, and these are Unwell Studio Star Confetti, that bag of just teeny tiny little wee stars, all die cut out of chipboard. I picked them and picked out which ones I wanted to give me a variety of different sizes, and then just adhered them down in place with Liquitex matte gel. I then used the coordinating Star Confetti template from Unwell Studio from my lovely friend Dee Dee, and had that on the opposite, the diagonal from the chipboard stars, just to show two different weights and two different styles and techniques of adding dimension to your page, because some people are not big fans of too much dimension, so I wanted to show different styles there. And for all the different bits where I've used moulding paste, I've used Faber-Castell whipped spackle, just because I wanted something light and quick and easy that was going to dry. Up the top left hand corner, I just dragged through the whipped spackle just to give myself some texture. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I was inspired by some work that Aaron had done on one of his recent pages on his YouTube channel, Imperfect Impulses, and so that's kind of where that idea came from. And then I wanted to try the whipped speckle and see what it looked like mixing in some colourants, to see if that was actually going to make any difference to the way the end product looked. So I used some Lindy Stamp Gang Magicals in there and some Pearl-Ex, just because that's what I had, kind of mixed them in to give me the colour. And once I'd finished that, I really wasn't that fussed with the colour. I couldn't get the intensity I wanted, so in the end, as you can see here, I've actually just sprinkled some directly onto the texture once it had dried and just brushed it off, and that I really like the effect of, even though I do actually go and cover it up. That's something that, you know, I will try again, because it did give it a really neat shine. So it's a really speedy look through the different textures, including the textures in the circles, you might say, or the gaps of the B, the loops. I've probably got some flash name, I don't know what it is. And all I've done is use some tools that I actually picked up in like one of the cheap emporium type shops. They are some tools that can be used for like cake decorating, or if you're working with clay. There's I think like 10 or 12 maybe even more different tools with different ends on them, and like some of them are brushes and some of them have got textured waves in there, or points, or there's the like burnishes there with circles on the end, balls. So I've used different tools throughout that just because they were cheap. It was like $4 for the pack, and that's New Zealand. I can go and pick them up some more if I need them, but it was like, okay, cheap tools, I want to use them and show that you don't have to go out and spend a whole heap of money on stuff. You can go and pick up things at the cheap $1 and $2 shops, or the emporiums, or 99-cent shop, whatever you want to call it. Now this is where I start to get into all the fun. I have to confess that I am a bit OCD when it comes to something. If I spot something that I like, then I just have to go and have it in every different colour range that there is. So I've got a lot of different sprays from a lot of different manufacturers, and the ones that I use here, I mean mainly Lindy Stamp Gang, but I've also used some Primacolour Bloom, some Heidi Swap, some Tated Angels, some Tim Holtz Adirondack Colour Wash, so a bit of everything. But I did keep to sort of the blue, green, teal colourway throughout the whole thing, because that's kind of the colour that inspired me for this background. And I tried to keep it so that the blues were down the bottom, particularly the bottom left darker blues, moving up to moving sort of out into the teals, and then the greens in particular up in the top right of the page, just so that there was a flow of colour. Now I think I counted up like 22 different sprays on this, because I have them. If you don't have that many, then you use what you've got. It's the type of thing that some people are going to invest in, have a lot of different variety there. Some people are only going to have one or two, so you make the most of what you've got. And the way I do it, I generally do maybe 2 or 3 colours at a time, dry them off, and you'll probably shouldn't see too much in terms of drying, because I tried to cut all of that footage out, because let's just be honest, it's boring, and if I'm not talking it's really loud, so you won't see the layering as such. But I find that's the best way to get the blending of colours, is you do 2 or 3 colours. Sometimes I only do 1 colour and then let it dry. And I generally, well, except for the first colour, which was the Storm Cloud from Prima, which I did over the whole page just to give me like a foothold, so to speak. For the most part, I don't generally spray over the whole page. I'll do it in patches, and then I'll mix them up, and I'll spray really heavily in one area and very lightly in another. And you'll see here I hold my page on different angles. Sometimes I have it flat in my shoebox, sometimes I'll have it diagonally, but that gives me the texture. What I've also done here is I've then gone and dripped in specific areas, particularly down the almost like the troughs or the valleys of some of the moulding paste work, because I wanted to accent that design feature in my background. It did take a while. I mean, the whole thing, I think the page was done over two days, because I left it overnight for the moulding paste to dry, but I think it took me about 2.5, maybe 3 hours to do over that time. I was listening to music, which means I was distracted. I hope you saw my iPod there in the beginning of the video. So yeah, it was higgledy-piggledy and kind of done over the weekend amongst everything else that we went to do. Because I went and saw Lindsay Sterling on Saturday night. She was in concert, first concert here in New Zealand. It was so awesome. Anyway, I digress. all I wanted was just my sorry, tangent there. All I wanted was just the title to be the only sort of accent on there in terms of the heat embossed, and I've done some close up there just to show you what it was. Final page as it's finished, this is what it looks like. The colour just kind of looks different. It looks different on film, both in the terms of the video but also the photos that you'll see coming up shortly. It's quite different. It's a lot more, dare I say it, the cool colours are a lot warmer in reality, a lot more golden, a lot more earthy. And that picture there with the stars is probably the closest looking, which I really love. But I do love the page, and I love the graduation of colour and the different textures and the different patterns and how it's all pulled together. I think it's just totally awesome, and was a great experiment. I really love doing this page, and it inspired me to try some more things throughout the rest of my crafting. I wanted to just give you, just finally in the pictures, some shots showing the dimension that was there in terms of the chipboard and the moulding paste, and just how it shines up, and how you can see that visually on the page, and how awesome it looks. So thank you for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe, have a look at my video, at my blog rather, for all the details of the products that I use.